Hi guys, today we're going to see how to use Splash. Splash is a Mouf MVC framework, and we're going to see how to make the most common task. It's to create a controller and a view using Splash. If you're not aware of what a controller is, very quickly, a controller is a class. And this class contains actions. Actions are actually methods of the class, and each action is triggered by a URL, and what binds the URL to the action is called a root. So that's enough for the theory, and we're going to see how to create such an action. So first of all, you can see that I'm using the mvc.splash package, and I already installed it into Mouf, and we already have a working Mouf installation here. Since I installed Splash, you can see that I have an MVC menu here that has been added, and also in my project here in the source directory I have a controllers directory that has been added, and we already have a root controller. The root controller is the basic controller, and it's handling the slash URL. It's basically the home. So when I go on slash on the root of my application, I see this controller. Now, how am I going to do to add a new root or a new controller? Well, it's quite easy. You go to MVC, Splash, and there is a create a new controller menu. I'm clicking on it. Here, I must give the name of my controller. Let's say I'm going to call it demo controller. The source directory, I will keep it as is. The namespace of the class, I won't touch it. The name of the instance, that's important. Each time I create a controller, there is one class and one instance in Mouf. I'm going to keep the instance as is, and I can inject into the controller a logger, templates and blocks. That's useful for the view, and I can also add the DAO factory if I am using TDBM. TDBM is the ORM for Mouf, so that's okay. Now I can add several actions here. So I'm going to add a first action, let's call it demo1, and I want this action to be enabled only on a get method. Maybe the name of the method will be demo1 too, and maybe, no, I won't put any parameters for this first action, and I want it to direct to a view that will be expressed using the Twig templating engine. More on that later. And maybe I'm going to add another action, and this second action will be rooted on the demo2 URL on any method. Let's call it demo2, and let's add a parameter, for instance, I don't know, ID. It must be an integer, it's not optional, and it will be responded by some JSON. So that's it. I'm going to click on the generator controller. Here, Mouf is showing me the instance that it just created. We have a lot of instances that are injected in the controller. And if I go into Eclipse and refresh the view, here you can see that my demo controller has been created. And it has two actions, demo1 and demo2, on the URL I asked, and there is already the view that has been bind to the URL. So let's see if it works. If I go here and I click demo1, hello world. So why am I viewing hello world here? Well, in the content block, that's the content of the page, Mouf is adding a Twig template, and this Twig template is calling the demo1.twig view. So let's see if I have this view. I'm going to refresh the view, and indeed there is a demo1.twig file, and here is the content. The message part comes from the array that is the second parameter, the third parameter to the Twig template class. If you don't know Twig, let's have a quick look at it. Twig is a templating engine. It's used by Symfony 2, by the way, and it's quite powerful, and it's especially quite secure since it is escaping input that you give it. So it's really a nice library, and you can read about it. It's quite easy to learn. You don't have to use Twig. You can also use pure PHP, and it works the same way. You see I did a second action. The second action is requesting an ID. So basically what I should do is call it with an ID, and it's outputting directly JSON. Let's make a test to see if I'm receiving the ID. So the ID here should be bind directly from the request, and it works. So basically that's it. I can change anytime. For instance, if I want to change the URL, I can do it. But there is a slight trick. You must purge the cache each time you change a URL. And here we go. It's working. So that's pretty much it. I told you this was a very quick tutorial. You can do, of course, much more with Splash. You can play with the templates, add a template on the left, add a content on the left, on the right, change the template. You can create route completely using Mouf and without creating a new controller declaratively. That's another feature, and of course we will see that in another tutorial. Hope you enjoyed it, and well, see you soon.